Plant kingdom. NCERT based single sentence questions. Let's start. Plant kingdom. Scientist who proposed the five kingdom classification is Robert Whittaker in 1969. Five kingdoms are Monera, Protista, Fungi, Plantae, Animalia. Kingdom Plantae, popularly known as plant kingdom. Fungi and members of the Monera and Protista having cell walls have now been excluded from this kingdom through earlier classification placed them in the same kingdom. Kingdom Plantae, from Kingdom Plantae. Algae, bryophyte, pteridophyte, gymnosperm, angiosperms all belongs to the kingdom. Kingdom Plantae. Cyanobacteria, which is also referred as blue-green algae, joined in the kingdom. Kingdom Protista. Natural classification for flowering plants was given by George Bentham and Joseph Dalton Hooker. The earliest system of classification used by only gross superficial morphological characters such as habit, color, number, and shape of leaves. The classification is artificial classification. The classification system which is done based on evolutionary relationship between the various organisms is phylogenetic classification. The system of classification is based mainly on vegetative characters or on the Andrewsian structure, that is artificial classification. Artificial classification. Most acceptable classification at present, which is done based on evolutionary relationship, phylogenetic classification. Phylogenetic classification. Artificial system of classification is proposed by Linnaeus. The system of classification separated the closely related species since they were based on a few characteristics is artificial classification. Taxonomy, which is carried out using computers, is based all observable characteristics is called numerical taxonomy. Numerical taxonomy. The system of classification who gave equal weightage to vegetative and sexual characteristics, that is artificial classification. The classification which assumes that organisms belonging to the same taxa have a common ancestor. Phylogenetic classification. Taking consideration of the vegetative characters for the classification of organisms is not acceptable generally. Why? Vegetative characters are more easily affected by environment. Vegetative characters are more easily affected by environment. Classification based on natural affinities among the organisms and consider not only the external features but also internal features like ultrastructure, anatomy, embryology, and phytochemistry. That is natural classification. Number and codes are assigned to all the characters in the data are then processed, and in this way each character is given equal importance. At the same time, hundreds of characters can be considered in this method, that is in Numerical taxonomy. Numerical taxonomy. Taxonomy that is based on cytological information like chromosome number, structure, behavior, and chemotaxonomy that uses the chemical constituents of the plant to resolve confusions are also used by taxonomists these days, that is cytotaxonomy. One of the tallest tree species of gymnosperms is giant redwood tree. Giant redwood tree that is called sequoia. Identify the given characters to which category they belongs to. The category is given here. Options: algae, bryophyte, pteridophyte, gymnosperm, angiosperm. Let's start. An exceptionally large group of plants occurring in wide range of habitat, angiosperms. Plants in which the ovules are not enclosed by any ovary wall and remain exposed both before and after fertilization, that is gymnosperms. That is gymno, which means snake, and sperma, which means seeds. The sporangia produce spores by meiosis in spore mother cells. The spores germinate to give rise to inconspicuous, small but multicellular, free-living, mostly photosynthetic, colloid gametophytes called prothallus in pteridophytes. Chlorophyll bearing, simple, thalloid, autotrophic, and largely aquatic, both freshwater and marine organisms are algae. They range in size from the smallest olfia to tall trees, eucalyptus, over 100 meters eucalyptus, that is in angiosperms. The pollen grains and ovules are developed in specialized structures called flowers, that is in angiosperms. They include the various mosses and liverworts that are found commonly growing in moist shaded areas in the hills, that is in bryophytes. They include horsetails and ferns, pteridophytes. They occur in a variety of other habitats like moist stones, soil, and wood, that is algae. They provide with food, fodder, fuel, medicines, and several other commercially important products. They provide us with food, fodder, fuel, medicine, and several other commercial important products, that is angiosperms. The seeds that develop post fertilization are not covered or naked, that is in gymnosperms. Sporophyte is differentiated into two root, stem, and leaves, and they possess well differentiated vascular tissues, pteridophytes. They are also called amphibians of the plant kingdom because these plants can live in soil but are dependent on water for sexual reproduction, that is in bryophytes. They are used as a medicinal purposes and as soil binders, pteridophytes. Some of them also occur in association with fungi, lichen, and animals. Example, on sloth bear will find they are algae. The leaves are small microphyls as in selaginella, or large macrophyls as in ferns, that is in pteridophyta. They may possess root-like or leaf-like or stem-like structures. Root-like, leaf-like or stem-like structures, bryophyte. They include medium-sized trees or tall trees and shrubs, that is in gymnosperm. The form and size of algae is highly variable, ranging from colonial forms like volvox and the filamentous form like Eleutherics and Spirogyra, that is algae. They are also frequently grown as ornamentals, pteridophytes. Roots, tap roots have some fungal association, some have coralloid roots. Tap roots, some have fungal association, some have coralloid roots, that is in gymnosperm. Their seeds are enclosed in fruits. Seeds are enclosed in fruits, angiosperms. A few of the marine forms, such as kelps, form massive plant bodies. Massive plant bodies are found in algae. Majority of them are homosporous, but some genera like Selaginella and Salvinia are heterosporous, that is in pteridophytes. They lack true roots, stem, or leaves, bryophytes. It reproduces by vegetative, asexual, and sexual method. Algae. Evolutionarily, they are the first terrestrial plants to possess vascular tissues, xylem and phloem, that is in pteridophytes. Zygote do not undergo reduction division immediately in bryophytes. The pollen grain germinate on the stigma and the resulting pollen tube grow through the tissues of stigma and style and reach the ovule. The pollen tube enters the embryo sac where two male gametes are discharged and double fertilization occurs. That is in angiosperms. Double fertilization in angiosperm. The male and female cones or strobili may be born on the same tree like pinus. However, in cycas, male cones and megasporophylls are born on different trees. Megaspore mother cell is differentiated from one of the cells of the nucellus, that is in gymnosperms. Pistil consists of swollen ovary at its base, a long slender style and stigma. Inside the ovary, ovules are present, that is in angiosperms. Their main plant body is a sporophyte. Main plant body is a sporophyte, which is differentiated into true root, stem, and leaves. That is in pteridophytes. Because of the occurrence of two fusions, syngamy and triple fission, this event is termed as double fertilization, an event unique to angiosperms. Dominant phase in their life cycle is gametophytic plant body, that is in bryophytes. Each stamen consists of slender filament with an anther at the tip. Within the anther, the pollen mother cell divide by meiosis to produce microspores which mature into pollen grain, angiosperms. The gametophytes bear male and female sex organs called antheridia archegonia respectively. Water is required for the transfer of antherozoids. The male gametes released from the antheridia to the mouth of archegonium, that is in pteridophytes. The male and the female gametophyte do not have an independent free living existence. They remain within the sporangia retained on the sporophytes in gymnosperms. Sexual reproduction takes place through fission of two gametes, isogamous or anisogamous or oogamous. It is in algae. The synergids or antipodals degenerate after fertilization. During these events, the ovules develop into seeds and the ovaries develop into fruit, that is in angiosperms. Fusion of male gamete with the egg present in the archegonium resulting in the formation of zygote. Zygote thereafter produces a multicellular well differentiated sporophyte which is the dominant phase of these organisms, that is in pteridophytes. They are heterosporous. They produce haploid microspores and megaspores. The two kinds of spores are produced within sporangia that are born on sporophylls which are arranged spirally along an axis to form lax or compact strobilular cones, that is in gymnosperms. The development of the zygotes into young embryos takes place within the female gametophyte. This event is a precursor to the seed habit, considered an important step in evolution in pteridophytes. The development of pollen grains takes place within the microsporangia. The cones bearing megasporophylls with ovules or megasporangia are called macrosporangiate or female strobili, gymnosperms. They are found in cool or damp or shady places. Through some may flourish well in sandy soil conditions. Pteridophytes. The nucellus is protected by envelopes and the composite structure is called an ovule. The ovules are borne on megasporophylls which may be clustered to form the female cone. Megaspore mother cell divides meiotically to form four megaspore, that is in gymnosperms. Generally, each ovule has a megaspore mother cell that undergoes meiosis to form four haploid megaspore. Three of them degenerate and one divide to form the embryo sac, that is in angiosperms. Plant body of bryophyte is more differentiated than that of algae. Plant body is thallus-like and prostrate or erect and attached to the substratum by unicellular or multicellular rhizoids, that is in bryophytes. The sporophytes bear sporangia that are subtended by leaf-like appendages called sporophylls in pteridophytes. One of the megaspores enclosed within the megasporangium develops into a multicellular female gametophyte that bears two or more archegonia or female sex organ. The multicellular female gametocyte is also retained within megasporangium, that is in gymnosperms. Embryo sac has a three-celled egg apparatus, one egg cell and two synergids, three antipodal cells and two polar nuclei. The polar nuclei eventually fuse to produce a diploid secondary nucleus in angiosperms. At least half of the total carbon dioxide fixation on Earth is carried out by this group through photosynthesis. Algae. The pollen grain is released from the microsporangium. They are carried in air currents and some in contact with the opening of the ovule, born on megasporophyll. The pollen tube carrying the male gametes grow towards the archegonia in the ovules and discharge their contents near the mouth of archegonia. Following fertilization, zygote develops into an embryo and the ovules into seeds. These seeds are not covered, that in gymnosperms. Megaspores and microspores germinate and give rise to female and male gametophytes respectively. The female gametophyte in these plants are retained and the parent sporophytes for variable periods. Pteridophyta. They play an important role in the plant succession on bare rocks or soil. Bryophytes. Leaves simple or compound, withstand extreme temperature, humidity, and wind in gymnosperms. Sporophylls may form distinct compact structures called strobili or cones. It is in pteridophyta. The strobile bearing micro Sporophylls and microsporangia are called microsporangiate or male strobili, and the microspores develop into a male gametophytic generation which is highly reduced and is confined to only a limited number of cells. This reduced gametophyte is called a pollen grail in gymnosperms. Being photosynthetic, they increase the level of dissolved oxygen in their immediate environment. They are of paramount importance as primary producers of energy rich compounds which form the basis of the food cycles of all aquatic animals, that is, algae. Male sex organ in flower of angiosperm is called stamen. Female sex organ is in a flower of angiosperm is called. Female sex organ in a flower of angiosperm is called pistil. In angiosperm, male gamete fuses with the diploid secondary nucleus and produce primary endosperm nucleus. Primary endosperm nucleus. Male gamete fuses with the egg cell is called. Male gamete fuses with the egg cell is called. The process is called syngamy and it forms zygote. Chromosomal condition of zygote. The chromosomal condition of zygote in angiosperms, that is diploid. Chromosomal condition of primary endosperm nucleus in angiosperm, it is in triploid condition. Double fertilization of angiosperms include syngamy and triple fission. In angiosperms, the zygote develops into an embryo with one or two cotyledons, and the pen, primary endosperm nucleus, develops into an endosperm which provides nourishment to the developing embryo. True. The male sex organ of bryophyte is antheridium. The spores in Pteridophyta germinate to give rise to inconspicuous, small but multicellular, free-living, mostly photosynthetic thalloid gametophyte called prothallus. Biflagellate antherozoids in bryophytes is produced by antheridium. The female sex organ of bryophyte is called archegonium. The spread of living pteridophytes is limited and restricted to narrow geographical regions. Why? Gametophytes require cool and damp shady places to grow and need water for fertilization. Shape of archegonium in bryophyte, flask shape. Number of eggs produced by archegonium of bryophyte is single egg. Antherozoids are released dash into where they come in contact with the archegonium. Antherozoids are released in water. An antherozoid fuses with the egg to produce zygote. Zygote do not undergo reduction division immediately in bryophyte and produce a multicellular body called sporophyte. Structure of bryophyte, which is not free living but attached to the photosynthetic gametophyte and derives nourishment from in it. Sporophytes. In Pteridophyta, the sporophytes bear sporangia that are subtended by leaf-like appendages called sporophylls. Some cells of the dash undergo reduction division, meiosis, to produce haploid spores. Some cells of the sporophyte undergo reduction division or meiosis to produce haploid spore. These spores germinate to produce gametophyte. The bryophyte, which form dense mats on the soil, they reduce the impact of falling rain and prevent soil erosion. Mosses. Colonial algae, valvax. Filamentous algae, Ulothrix and Spirogyra. Marine algae with massive plant bodies, kelp. Algae association with fungi is called lichen. Animal which algae is associated with, sloth bear. Algae with flagellated, motile or equal sized gametes is present in Ulothrix. Algae with non-flagellated, non-motile, equal sized gametes. Non-flagellated, equal sized gametes. That is in Spirogyra. Type of fission of gametes in Eudorina species. Anisogamous. Examples of oogamous type of fission. Valvax and fucus. A bryophyte, a mass which provide peat that have long been used as a fuel and as a packing material for transshipment of living material because of their capacity to hold water. That is species of sphagnum. Mosses, along with dash, are the first organisms to colonize rocks and hence are of great ecological importance. Lichens. Brown algae which produce hydrocolloids. Brown algae, mosses along with dash are the first organisms to colonize rocks and hence of great ecological importance, that is lichens. Brown algae which produce hydrocolloids, that is algin. Red algae which produce hydrocolloids, that is carrageenan. Algae which produce agar, that is gelidium and gracilaria. Unicellular algae rich in proteins used as a food supplement even by space travelers, that is chlorella. Marine algae which are used as food are Porphyra, Laminaria, Sargassum. A gymnosperm whose roots have fungal association in the form of mycorrhiza, that is pinus. Gymnosperm whose small specialized roots called coralloid roots are associated with nitrogen fixing cyanobacteria, that is Cycas. Gymnosperm with unbranched stem, Cycas. Gymnosperm with branched stem, Pinus and Cedrus. Gymnosperm with pinnate leaves which persist for a few years, Cycas. Gymnosperm with needle-like leaves to reduce the surface area, thick cuticle, sunken stomata, conifers. Gymnosperm whose male and female cones are strobili are born on the same tree, that is in Pinus. Gymnosperm whose male cones and megasporophylls are born on different trees, that is in cycas. Smallest angiosperm, Olfia. Smallest angiosperm, Olfia. Tallest angiosperm, Eucalyptus, that is over 100 meters. It can grow. Simple branched filamentous form of Phaeophyce is Ectocarpus. Profusely branched form of Phaeophyce which may reach a height of 100 meters, that is Kelps. Small leaves of Selaginella of pteridophyta are called microphylls. Types of leaves in ferns of pteridophyta, macrophylls. Macrophylls. Pteridophytes whose sporophylls may form distinct compact structures called strobili or cones, that is in Selaginella and equisetum. Selaginella equisetum. Genera of pteridophyta which produce two kinds of spores, macro, large, and micro, small spores are known as heterosporous, that is in Selaginella and Salvinia. Liverwort with thalloid plant body, Markantia. Examples of green algae. Chlamydomonas, Valvax, Ulothrix, Spirogyra, Thara. Examples of brown algae: Ectocarpus, Dictyota, Laminaria, Sargassum, Fucus. Examples of red algae: Polysiphonia, Porphyra, Gracilaria, Gelidium. Common examples of mosses are Finaria, Polytrichum, Sphagnum. Examples of liverworts. Example of liverwort, Markantia. So identify the given examples as chlorophyce, phaeophyce, rhodophyce. Chlamydomonas. Chlamydomonas belongs to chlorophyce. Chlamydomonas belongs to chlorophyce. Ectocarpus. Ectocarpus, phaeophyce. Dictyota. Dictyota belongs to Phaeophyce. Valvax. Valvax belongs to Chlorophyce. Ulothrix. Ulothrix belongs to Chlorophyce. Laminaria. Laminaria belongs to Phaeophyce. Laminaria belongs to Phaeophyce. Polysiphonia. Polysiphonia belongs to Rhodophyce. H. Spirogyra. Spirogyra belongs to Chlorophyce. Porphyra. Porphyra belongs to Porphyra belongs to rhodophyceae. Next, Khara. Khara belongs to chlorophyceae. Gelidium. Gelidium belongs to rhodophyceae. Sargassum. Sargassum belongs to Phaeophyceae. Gracilaria. Gracilaria belongs to Rhodophyceae. Fucus. Fucus belongs to Phaeophyceae. Then next, identify the given examples as Psilopsida, Lycopsida, Spinopsida, Pteropsida. Let's start. Silotum. Silotum belongs to Psilopsida. Selaginella. Selaginella belongs to Lycopsida. Selaginella, Lycopsida. Equisetum. Equisetum belongs to Spinopsida. Dryopteris. Dryopteris belongs to Pteropsida. Lycopodium. Lycopsida. Adiantum. Adiantum belongs to Pteropsida. Teres. Teres belongs to Pteropsida. Teres belongs to Pteropsida. Silotum belongs to Psilopsida. Selaginella belongs to Lycopsida. Equisetum belongs to Spinopsida. Dryopteris belongs to Pteropsida. Lycopodium belongs to Lycopsida. Adiantum belongs to Pteropsida. Teres belongs to Pteropsida. Silotum belongs to Psilopsida. Silotum belongs to Psilopsida. Selaginella belongs to Lycopsida. Selaginella belongs to Lycopsida. Equisetum belongs to Spinopsida. Dryopteris belongs to Pteropsida. Lycopodium belongs to Lycopsida. Lycopodium belongs to Lycopsida. Teres. Adiantum belongs to Pteropsida. Teres belongs to Pteropsida. Method of vegetative reproduction in algae, that is fragmentation. Method of fragmentation. Vegetative reproduction in algae, fragmentation. Each fragment after fragmentation in algae develops into thallus. Method of asexual reproduction in algae. Asexual reproduction in algae. They form spores. Most common spores formed in algae are zoospores. Fission of two equal sized gametes is called isogamous. Fission of two unequal sized gametes is called anisogamous. Fusion of between one large non-motile static female gamete and a smaller motile male gamete is termed as oogamous. Flagellated or motile spores of algae are called zoospores. They are motile, flagellated, and on germination give rise to new plants. This what type of reproduction it is? It is asexual reproduction. Name of the structures which are formed here: zoospores. Okay, and in which organism it is observed? In which organism it is observed? Algae. Water holding substances produced by algae are called hydrocolloids. Substance extracted from algae which is used in preparation of ice creams and jellies, that is agar. Composition of pyrenoids. Composition of pyrenoids, that is protein. Zoospores of chlorophyceae are produced from zoosporangia. Plant body of Phaeophyceae is usually attached to the substratum by a holdfast and has a stalk, the stripe and leaf-like photosynthetic organ, which is called as the frand. Red pigment of rhodophyceae, that is R phycoerythrin. The red thalli of most of the red algae are unicellular or multicellular. Multicellular. The food of rhodophyceae, which is very similar to amylopectin and glycogen in structure, that is chloridian starch. The predominant stage of life cycle of mass is gametophyte. Two stages of gametophytes is protonema stage. In masses, the stage of gametophyte which develop directly from spore. The two stages of gametophytes are protonema stage and leafy stage. In masses, the stage of gametophyte which develop directly from spore, that is protonema stage. In masses, the stage of gametophyte which develop from the secondary protonema as a lateral bud, that is leafy stage. In masses, the stage of gametophyte which is a creeping, green, branched and frequently filamentous stage, that is protonema stage. In masses, the stage of gametophyte which consists of upright and slender axis bearing spirally arranged leaves, leafy stage. In masses, the stage of gametophyte which has spirally arranged leaves are attached to the soil through multicellular and branched rhizoids, leafy stage. In masses, the stage of gametophyte which bear sex organs, that is leafy stage. Identify the given characteristics as whom they belongs to, chlorophyceae or Phaeophyceae or rhodophyceae. The members are commonly called green algae, that is chlorophyceae, red algae, rhodophyceae. Members are commonly called brown algae, Phaeophyceae. Contain R phycoerythrin pigment, that is rhodophyceae. Member primarily found in marine habitats, that is Phaeophyceae. Majority of them are marine with greater concentration found in the warmer areas, rhodophyceae. The plant body may be unicellular or colonial or filamentous, chlorophyceae. They range from simple branched filamentous form ectocarpus to profusely branched forms as represented by kelps, which may reach height of 100 meters, that is in Phaeophyce. Some of them have complex body organization, rhodophyce. They show great variation in size and form, Phaeophyce. The red thalli of most of them are multicellular, rhodophyce. They possess chlorophyll A, C, carotenoid, and xanthophyll, Phaeophyce. They are usually grass, green, due to the dominance of pigment chlorophyll A and B, that is in chlorophyce. They vary in color. They vary in color from olive green to various shades of brown, depending upon the amount of xanthophyll pigment, fucoxanthin, and present in them, Phaeophyce. They occur in both well-lighted regions close to the surface of water and also at great depths in ocean where relatively little light penetrates. Rhodophyce. The pigments are localized in definite chloroplast. Chlorophyce. The chloroplast may be discoid, plate-like, reticulate, cup-shaped, spiral or ribbon-shaped in different species. That is in chlorophyce. The protoplast contain, in addition to plastids, a centrally located vacuole and nucleus. Phaeophyce. Most of the members have one or more storage bodies called pyrenoids located in the chloroplast, that is chlorophyce. Some algae may store food in the form of oil droplets, that is in chlorophyce. Food is stored as a complex carbohydrate, which may be in the form of laminarin or mannitol. Laminarin or mannitol in Phaeophyce. Food is stored as Floridian starch, which is very similar to amylopectin and glycogen in structure. Floridian starch, rhodophyce. They usually have a rigid cell wall made of an inner layer of cellulose and an outer layer of pectose in chlorophyce. Vegetative cells have a cellulosic cell wall usually covered on the outside by a gelatinous coating of algin in Phaeophyce. Vegetative reproduction usually takes place by fragmentation or by formation of different types of spores, that is in chlorophyce. Vegetative reproduction takes place by fragmentation. Vegetative reproduction takes place by fragmentation, Phaeophyce. They usually reproduce vegetatively by fragmentation. Both are same. NCERT we follow. Rhodophyce. In rhodophyce and Phaeophyce, reproduction, vegetative reproduction by fragmentation. The plant body of Phaeophyce is usually attached to the substratum by a holdfast and has a stalk, the stipe and leaf-like photosynthetic organ, the frand, that is in Phaeophyce. A sexual reproduction in most of them is by biflagellate zoospores that are pear-shaped and have two unequal laterally attached flagella, that is in Phaeophyce. A sexual reproduction is by flagellated zoospore produced in Zoosporangia, chlorophyce. Sexual reproduction may be isogamous, or oogamous. Union of gametes may take place in water or within the oogonium, oogamous species, we say phaeophysi. They reproduce asexually by non-motile spores and sexually by non-motile gametes, rhodophysi. The sexual reproduction shows considerable variation in the type and formation of sex cells, and it may be isogamous, anisogamous, or oogamous, that is in chlorophysi. The gametes are pyriform, pear-shaped, and bear two laterally attached flagella, phaeophysi. Sexual reproduction is oogamous and accompanied by complex post-fertilization developments in rhodophysi. Sexual reproduction is oogamous and accompanied by complex post-fertilization events. Rhodophysi. Identify the given characters as whom they belongs to, either liverworts or masses. They have an elaborate mechanism. We got answer already here. They have an elaborate mechanism of spore dispersal. Okay, masses. They grow usually in moist, shady habitats such as banks of streams, marshy ground, damp soil, bark of trees, and deep in the woods, that is liverworts. This plant body is thalloid. Example, Markantia in liverworts. The predominant stage of the life cycle is the gametophyte, which consists of two stages, protonema and leaf stages, leafy stage in masses. Thallus is dorsiventral and closely oppressed to the substrate, liverworts. Protonema and leafy stage are belongs to masses. Asexual reproduction takes place by fragmentation of thalli or by the formation of specialized structures called gemmae, that is in liverworts. The first stage is the protonema stage, which develops directly from a spore. It is a creeping, green, branched, and frequently filamentous stage, masses. The leafy members have tiny leaf-like appendages in two rows on the stem-like structures, liverworts. Vegetative reproduction is by fragmentation and budding in the secondary protonema, masses. After fertilization, the zygote develops into a sporophyte consisting of a foot, seta, and capsule in masses. Gemma are green, multicellular asexual birds which develop in small receptacles called gemma cups located on the thalli. The gemmae become detached from the parent body and germinate to form new individuals in liverworts. The second stage is the leafy stage, which develops from the secondary protonema as a lateral bud. They consist of upright, slender axis bearing spirally arranged leaves. They are attached to the soil through multicellular and branched rhizoid. This stage bears sex organs, masses. During sexual reproduction, male and female sex organs are produced either on the same or on different thalli, that is in liverworts. In sexual reproduction, sex organs, antheridia, and archegonia are produced at the apex of the leafy shoots, masses. The sporophyte is differentiated into foot, seta, and capsule. After meiosis, spores are produced within the capsule. These spores germinate to form free-living gametophytes, that is in liverworts. The capsule contains spores. Spores are formed after meiosis, masses. Sporophyte is more elaborate, masses. Identify the given characteristics as whom they belongs to. Dicotyledons or monocotyledons. Seeds having two cotyledons. Seeds having two cotyledons, that is dicotyledons. Single cotyledon seeds, monocotyledons. By parallel venation in leaves, monocotyledons. Reticulate venation in leaves, dicotyledons. Tetramerous or pentamerous flowers having 4 or 5 members. In each floral whorls, that is in dicotyledons. Trimerous flowers having 3 members in each floral whorls, that is in monocotyledons. In plants, both haploid and diploid cells can divide by mitosis. This ability leads to the formation of both haploid and diploid plant bodies. The haploid plant body produces gametes by mitosis or mitosis. And this plant body represents a gametophyte. Following fertilization, the zygote divides by meiosis and to produce diploid sporophytic plant body. Here it is, mitosis. Diploid sporophytic plant body undergoes meiosis and produce haploid spores. During the life cycle, any sexually reproducing plant, there is an alternation of generation between gamete producing haploid gametophyte and spore producing diploid sporophyte. Chromosomal condition of gametophyte and sporophyte respectively, haploid and diploid. Haploid plant body is called gametophyte. Haploid plant body is called gametophyte. Diploid plant body is called sporophyte. Division in haploid plant body. Mitosis. Division in diploid plant body, meiosis. In the life cycle of haploid plant body dominates such life cycle is called haplontic life cycle. In the life cycle, if diploid plant body dominates, such life cycle is called diplontic life cycle. Identify the given statement to whom it belongs to, haplontic life cycle or diplantic life cycle or haplodiplantic life cycle. Sporophytic generation is represented only by the one-celled zygote. There are no free-living sporospines. That is haplontic life cycle. Diploid sporophyte is the dominant photosynthetic independent phase of the plant. Diplontic life cycle. Meiosis in the zygote results in the formation of haploid spores. The haploid spores divide mitotically and form the gametophyte. The dominant photosynthetic phase in such plants is the free-living gametophyte. That is haplontic life cycle. The gametophytic phase is represented by the single to few-celled haploid gametophyte, diplontic life cycle. A dominant, independent, photosynthetic, thalloid or erect phase is represented by a haploid gametophyte and it alternates with the short-lived multicellular sporophyte, totally or partially dependent on the gametophyte for its anchorage and nutrition. That is haplodiplontic life cycle. The diploid sporophyte is represented by a dominant, independent, photosynthetic, vascular plant body. It alternates with the multicellular, saprophytic or autotrophic, independent but short-lived haploid gametophyte. Such pattern is known as haplodiplontic life cycle. A dominant, independent, photosynthetic, thalloid or erect phase is represented by a haploid gametophyte and it alternates the short-lived multicellular sporophyte totally or partially dependent on the gametophyte for its anchorage and nutrition. This pattern is seen in bryophytes. Diploid sporophyte is represented by dominant, independent, photosynthetic, vascular plant body. It alternates with the multicellular, saprophytic, autotrophic, independent but short-lived haploid gametophyte. This pattern is seen in pteridophytes. An intermediate condition in which both phases are multicellular and however they differ in their dominant phases. Such condition is termed as haplodiplontic life cycle. All seed-bearing plants, that is gymnosperm, angiosperm, follow this pattern with some variation, where in the gametophytic phase is few to multi-cell in diplontic life cycle. Many algae such as Volvax, Pyrogyra and some species of Chlamydomonas represent this pattern, haplontic life cycle. An algae, Fucus species, represent this pattern, diplontic life cycle. Bryophyte, pteridophytes interestingly exhibit this pattern, haplodiplontic life cycle. Most algal genera are exhibit this pattern, haplontic life cycle. Algal genera which exhibit haplodiplontic life cycle, that is Ectocarpus and Polysiphonia, kelps. In kelps, Polysiphonia, Ectocarpus, that haplodiplontic life cycle is seen. Algae which exhibit life cycle, diplontic life cycle pattern, that is Fucus. This is the end of plant kingdom. Thank you.